You know how I said it's not a Nuna, but it'll do na?
Yeah.
And then you said, joke-wise, that was nice.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
Stroke-wise, that was slice.
That was
Golf or
sliced.
otherwise.
Nice, dude. Stroke wise, that was sliced. That's good. I like that.
Par 4, more like I did it in 10.
Par 4. More like par 4. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Average Joe Football Show. I'm your host, Joe Fair. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Kyle Lowry's favorite football podcast.
Oh?
That's right. NBA free agency is starting today. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Kyle Lowry, greatest Raptor of all time. Probably not going to be on the Raptors anymore this upcoming season. It's looking like he's going to be a member of the Miami Heat. So, I'm not going to get too into football. Yes, we are going to get very into football, actually. Not going to get too into basketball. But I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Kyle Lowry, my favorite Raptor of all time, the greatest Raptor to ever play. Thank you for everything, as I get a little emotional. But no, we're back. I'm joined, obviously, by my illustrious producer, Joe Thiessen. How's it going, Joe?
It's going good. I got back from my vacay.
Yeah.
You had your vacay, I had my vacay.
Yeah, we had a couple of vacays.
Yeah.
Couple of week breaks.
Mm-hmm.
From
And
the
it was
pod.
nice.
It was nice.
It made me realize how much I hate doing it.
Matter of fact, if it wasn't for the money, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. No, just all jokes.
Yeah.
I got back from my vacation. It was good. It was a good week off. Loved it.
Yeah.
Going back to work tomorrow. Sad about that.
Yeah, that's part's not fun.
But super good. Carl Lowry, anyways, I was actually going to ask.
Okay.
I thought he said he was staying, or did he say he would at least play his final season in Toronto? Or who was that?
Like,
Wasn't there a Raptor who said it doesn't matter
oh
what
no.
he's
So
gonna...
basically, I think I know along the lines of what you're saying. He said he's gonna retire a Raptor no matter what.
Okay.
So whether he signs with the Heat, which it's looking increasingly, by the time this podcast is out, he's signed already. Like it's gonna be over. So this is all he's most likely with the Heat right now. That would be my biggest guess. Even if he signs with the Heat and he plays another, let's say 4 seasons, he's 36 now, so he's old. Plays another 4 seasons. I mean, even that's ambitious, like, to play to 40. He plays a very physical style, but even if he signs with the Heat and then plays for another team, he will, when he retires, sign a 1-day contract and have his retirement with the Raptors. Like, that's kind of what he was saying.
Okay.
And
so not necessarily even playing with them?
No, he will. I would guess, like, I would be willing to put a decent amount of money on the fact that if he doesn't re-sign now, and I don't think he will never play for the Raptors again. He'll just sign that 1-day deal, and then he'll retire a Raptor, which is really important for Raptors fans because the Raptors are the only Canadian team in the NBA.
Yeah.
They can never bring in players because nobody wants to play in Canada. Players always leave. Vince Carter left, Chris Bosh left, Tracy McGrady left, Kawhi Leonard left. Players never want to stay. So to have a player that embraced the city, even though Kyle Lowry, when he first got to Toronto, didn't want to be there whatsoever. He said when he first got there, he said, I'm only going to be here for a few years and then I'm leaving. And then he kind of fell in love with the city, and now to have him say that he wants to retire a Raptor is special because Raptors fans are incredibly insecure. And I'm put right there in with them. Very insecure about that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's Kyle Lowry. I love you, Kalo. Thank you for everything. But yeah, no, back on vacation, Joe. Did you do anything? Was there anything worthwhile?
Notable?
Yeah, anything notable?
As far as we went sightseeing, we saw some sights. We just went there to relax, basically, because the baby. It really saved our marriage, that trip. But
this was you guys were basically running on empty, and you went to the gas station and you filled you got at least a quarter tank.
We got another quarter tank left, I think.
At least.
So
maybe you're gonna have to throw in another vacation.
We were thinking backcountry camping.
Backcountry camping.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be another quarter. So you're at least a half a tank at that point.
Well, I mean, if the quarter we have now doesn't run out by then, yeah.
Yeah, and then the baby comes, and that's either gonna fill you right up or you'll get the gas siphoned right out. So
we'll be robbed. No, looking forward to the baby coming in 3 months.
3 months. Incredible.
Yeah, which is the next time we're gonna take time off probably when I have a baby.
Most likely.
And
Which
it
is
won't
selfish,
even. And
obviously.
it might not even
of
be
you.
that much
Yeah.
time.
Obviously
Probably like a week.
Obviously selfish of you.
You only took a week when you had a baby, though. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
You did take
I only
time
took a week, but you decided to have your baby like in the middle of football season, which is, like I said, fairly selfish with the way that
Yeah,
was
that's
kind
right.
of.
Well, how
planned
about
out.
this? I'll teach you how to edit before, and you can record your own thing and just throw it together,
And then you'll never be on the podcast again.
and then you don't even need me anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We don't like to
I
plan
guess.
things ahead, as you've seen with our vacation schedule
Yeah.
the last few weeks. But thank you guys for sticking around, even through all the breaks. If you guys haven't checked out the podcast that we released 2 weeks ago, still very relevant. We had Jeremy Klump back on the pod. I loved it. I thought it was really good. I thought it was even better than the first time he was on. Jeremy brought it with some really good information, some good talk, some good banter. Joe served us tea at the beginning of the episode.
Was it good?
It was the tea.
Mhm.
It was phenomenal.
Thanks, man.
Phenomenal. And before we forget about your vacation, you also you got me a gift.
I did.
You brought me back a gift.
Yeah, I did.
And I'm currently wearing it right now.
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate? So I don't know. Have we ever talked about this on the pod?
I don't think we have. That's
Really?
the thing. Yeah.
I think we did. Maybe
Okay.
Joe has this infatuation with
Bordering obsession.
bordering obsession with with Sasquatch, with the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And
I love the idea of the Bigfoot.
and he believes fully in Bigfoot, that Bigfoot is real and all this stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And so and he tried to convince me of it a few times. I haven't really
haven't.
Yeah, and I haven't really I haven't given in to this. A lot of the things you say make sense. Okay.
Thanks.
Anyways, but I will say this, Victoria, BC, they actually like their Bigfoot there.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and they had a lot of keychains and T-shirts. So
If I would have known, I would have got you to do so many things there, like Bigfoot wise. I think just
Like what? Make
investigate. I don't know. Yeah, make calls. Do something.
It's like like that one. You seen that all gas no brakes?
Yeah, where the guy doing the Bigfoot call. Almost nobody understands that probably. But
sorry, Rudy will get
good.
that if he listens.
Yeah. Anyways, what did you get me?
I got Joe a T-shirt that has a picture of Bigfoot in the pale of the moonlight.
Pale moonlight.
And yeah,
We'll post a picture when we release the episode. I'll post a picture on our Instagram.
yes,
And maybe on our Twitter as well. In our you can have fleets now on Twitter, which is
No way.
It's like a story.
no
I'll post
way.
it and
Twitter's doing stories now.
yeah, Twitter has stories now. They're called fleets.
Oh no.
Yeah, but anyways, the shirt, it has Bigfoot. He's looking
In the pale moonlight.
unbelievably jacked.
Yeah, super jacked, and it says "social distancing world champ."
Which is the worst joke I've ever heard.
I don't like COVID jokes. I'm not a big fan of COVID jokes, but that's exactly what Joe said. Is there because Joe always told me they're so good at hiding from you. Like they watch you when you're in the woods. They're just so good at hiding from you.
Yeah.
How can a big, huge ape man be good at hiding?
Dude, there's so much trees in the world. I don't think you understand. Dude, they're not
Not all trees
They're
are
not hanging out in spring water here in Elmer. Like that's not enough. If you go into like Portland, or not Portland, but Oregon in general, like that state, or like Northern California, the amount of trees there, you could never like cover that whole land.
Where do they sleep that they never get found?
Listen, we don't know. Maybe in the ground.
If Bigfoot was real, we would
he
know
is
by
real.
now. We would know by now
Nope.
because all it would
Nope.
take, heat sensing.
We haven't even discovered most of the ocean. How the heck? Come on, man.
I know, but it would just take a few swipes. How many do you think there are in the world, by the way?
There's a few thousand.
A few
thousand of them. Yeah, because they're
Okay.
not just in one spot. It's not one Bigfoot. It's big
Okay.
feet.
Okay,
Yeah,
many feet.
many feet.
All right, so basically what I'm saying is you ever heard of heat sensors,
Yeah,
infrared?
yeah.
We could see them. They're
You
hot
think
animals.
You think they've ever done it? You think they've ever swept all the forests in the world with heat sensors?
You wouldn't have to do if you're saying there's not just one in the world. There's lots of big feet everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would not. We could probably find one.
How
with
do we
just a
know that
few.
they're warm blooded?
You would only assume.
Listen, one theory is that big feet are aliens. And that's a theory. I'm not saying that's true. It's a theory. So if they're aliens, they're probably not warm-blooded, okay?
Okay, see,
And I
get that.
I just think that the argument, and I want people to know that I'm not a crazy person. I don't actually like
but let's act like you are. Play devil's advocate. Let's act like you
I
are.
am for a second. I just think that people don't understand how smart these creatures really are. Like, I think that's the argument, is that they're extremely intelligent. They're extremely intelligent, agile, strong, fast. Like they're hard to catch. That's why we haven't caught them yet.
So not
and like they
otherworldly.
They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be seen.
No alien wants to be seen.
Listen. The only reason that I'm this invested in Bigfoot is because I think that it is more fun to believe in Bigfoot than it is to not believe in Bigfoot. Because if you go into a conversation and somebody says, "Hey, do you believe in Bigfoot?" and you say no, and they're like, "Yeah, me neither."
That's it.
What a boring conversation that was.
Yeah, you're right. I think I'm going to believe in everything now.
Like if we had started this podcast talking about Bigfoot, and then I had said, "No, I don't believe in Bigfoot," and then you had said, "Yeah, he's probably not real."
Yeah.
It's just more like we wouldn't have gotten this far in the podcast. It's just more fun to believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah, I'm not discrediting you. Like, is that a word?
Discrediting me?
Yeah,
I guess. Like,
I'm not here to discredit you.
Yeah.
I'm not here to poop on your party.
Yeah.
But like, you know what? I might believe in him now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's start a podcast that's exclusively Bigfoot hunting.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
But I feel like all those Bigfoot hunters, it's really funny. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, they're good people.
Okay.
But do you think they're always like so close? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Listen.
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
I think we should just the ignorance is bliss.
Oh, I think. Oh, I'm not gonna put a bunch of work into it.
Like they're not.
I'm a busy man. Listen, I'm not gonna go out there and actually put work into it unless I was getting paid for it. But
obviously they're not violent creatures.
Well, there are stories of them throwing like full trees at people and like big rocks and stuff, and like
what?
There was recently a sighting, man, in
Where?
Michigan.
In Michigan.
Michigan. Yeah, I saw the video. It's not very convincing. It looks like a dude in water with holding a gun. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh. I would like to see
I'll
that
have to show
video.
you that after the pod.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's same with like aliens. Like it's more fun to believe in aliens than. Do you believe in aliens?
I believe in aliens more than I believe in Bigfoot.
Okay, I believe in both. So I'm gonna have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah, you can have your cake. I'll eat mine.
Okay.
But aliens. That's a whole other thing. Like, you see those UFO sightings?
Aliens are real. I'm convinced. Like that one, Bigfoot is kind of still mostly a joke, but like maybe not. I haven't really decided totally. Aliens, I think I'm all in on that.
Other entities, you know what I mean? There's a whole lot.
The universe is so big. How crazy is it to think that we're the only ones?
And I have some, and you know what? This actually surprises me a little bit the way you talk about it, because I tried to talk to you about hallucinogenics and DMT.
Yeah, well, that's
ayahuasca.
Dumb. That's dumb compared to what I'm talking about.
No. I don't think it is, because there's a whole. I don't know.
That's talking about getting into like another state of, or how you can unlock like parts of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like whatever.
But
this is just talking about.
They say, and this is straight from the man himself. Okay, he says that he's always said Joe Rogan was what I'm saying.
Of course,
he's big. He's a big DMT. Anyways,
the first biggest Joe podcast.
Yeah,
just out this year.
Anyways, he says when you take DMT, if you have a DMT trip, you always communicate with something.
Okay.
Like he says, other entities, like this world is all energy. Like it's I don't know, it's all.
But I think that's
weird.
Maybe just called being high.
Yeah, and there's an argument to that. Absolutely. Maybe you're just high out of your mind.
Yeah.
But everybody who does it, they're like, no, there's something else.
Okay. Yeah, because they're all high.
Maybe it just proves that God is real.
Because everybody that did it was high. Listen, I'm not going to argue that God's not real, but because spoiler alert, I believe in him. But that's not, I don't know if hallucinogenic drugs are.
And people say like this is just some crazy theory, but like the story of the Garden of Eden, and Adam and Eve were not supposed to eat from one tree.
And that was
drugs, man. Because they can unlock something,
so
you know.
Funny.
It is funny.
I love that,
but it's an interesting theory.
It's funny. I'll listen to it. I won't like. I won't shut you down.
I'll play devil's advocate to all that.
It is very funny too, and like guys like Joe Rogan are, and like they're invested.
Oh yeah,
it's 100. Like you cannot convince them otherwise, and I love it. I think that's hilarious.
But it is interesting.
Everybody's got their thing.
Yeah,
you know. And that's what I love about how big the
internet is.
The internet and the world in general.
Yeah.
Is that there are guys that they're basically their whole life is this.
Yeah.
Trying to convince us of this.
Oh yeah. Well, and you were saying the other day, like the world is so, like you see certain people and certain lifestyles, and then you're like, the world is so big. There are so many people in the world that some people like to dress up as horses. Yeah, and
that inspired me the other day. Like somebody at lunch, I think
pony play.
Our boy Rudy was showing us pony play, which is people that dress up as ponies. And my immediate reaction whenever I see something weird is there are so many people in the world, and like I think and I don't think we even realize like 7 billion, probably close to 8 billion. Who knows at this point?
It's upwards, yeah.
7 billion people is so many people. Like so many people.
That is a lot of people.
Like you think of a stadium filled to the brim, a football stadium, and by the way, we will talk football at some point in this podcast. We're gonna go and round up a ton of stuff that we missed in the NFL. But think for a second about a stadium like let's think about the University of Michigan Stadium, the biggest college stadium, or the biggest football stadium in the world, I believe, and you can fit about 110,000 people in there.
That
seems insane, but that's not even a drop in the bucket.
No, that's
nothing.
nothing.
7 billion people, and like I don't even think we can understand just the fact that people are into weird things like that, and there's more than one of them. There's probably thousands of people that are into it, and that just shows how many people there are. And how many people are into different things. And, that's beautiful. I love that everybody's got their own thing,
Yeah, I guess.
I'm all about that. We were at a car show a few weeks back for my brother-in-law's bachelor party.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not very into cars. Like, I like cars. And, like, when I was a kid, I always would play with cars and stuff. And, like, I know certain cars. I'm not into, like, the intricacies of cars.
Okay.
But I got there, and there's so many people there. Like thousands of people, and they all bring their cars that they love, and they souped up, and it's just like, I'm not into this, but I love that so many people are so passionate about this. Like everybody just has their thing that they love so much. And for me, I guess it's sports. For you, it's something different every week.
What's that?
And
by the way, I've been playing a new video game.
Okay.
Go on. Sorry.
And everybody just has their thing, and I think that's kind of fun, and it just shows how many stinking, like the fact that there was thousands of people into cars, and there's millions of people into cars, but then there's also millions of people that don't care about cars. I don't know. I just think that's the world is so big, man. This is totally turned into not a football podcast at this point, but
yeah, that's good though.
This has been doing some thinking the last couple of weeks that we haven't had the podcast.
I've been away.
Yeah. But I don't know if we have anything else you want to talk about. Before we jump into the football, we're back and we're full tilt. We're not taking next week off. We're not taking the week after that off.
Actually, I want to talk to you about that.
Okay. So I'm not taking next week off. Joe might not have a job in this podcast anymore. But
oh no, I'm losing so much money.
Oh yeah, you are.
Give me a break.
We football's, by the time you're listening to this. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, there's an NFL preseason game tomorrow.
What?
Yep. If you're listening to this on Thursday, there's an NFL preseason game today. If you're listening to this on Friday, you missed it. It was yesterday. But if you're listening to this on Saturday, it was two days ago. Yeah, son of a gun. But the preseason,
you can kind of see how the rest of it.
Yeah,
anyways.
I think you can infer how it goes from there. Sunday, 3 days. Monday would be 4 days. But after that? In general, well, it would be 5, and then 6, probably 7 after. A week would be 7.
Yeah.
And then there's that 7th day. There's more preseason games, so you don't have to worry about it anymore.
So then you're fine. Then you're
the NFL Hall of Fame game is happening this Thursday between Joe.
Go for it.
Dallas
Cowboys and the Denver, Colorado
Denver, Colorado. No.
Sorry, the Cowboys?
They're from Pennsylvania.
Cowboys?
The Cowboys versus the...
Pennsylvania.
Think of a team that everybody
Steelers.
knows. Steelers.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh Steelers. That's
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Cowboys and Steelers playing the Hall of Fame game. And then we'll be right into preseason football. And a few weeks from then, we'll be right into regular season football. Oh, your boy.
From the Steelers?
Which boy is that? I don't.
You know what I'm talking about.
I didn't know you had a boy in
from the Steelers.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
Juju, what's that?
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped to see that guy play again.
Man, he is. He's.
Are we starting our fantasy soon again?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna get on fantasy. I'll have to have a fantasy pod at some point, guys. Exciting. I mean this when I say exciting times coming on the podcast. We're gonna have maybe some more guests on the podcast coming up soon. And I'm excited for the NFL season. I have real football to talk about. Like I said, we took a week off last week, and we were in the slow period of the NFL offseason. Like I said, every episode. That's not the case anymore, because while we were gone, everything happened. We had no news for a while, and now we have all the news at once. So this episode is just going to be called What We Missed. What we missed the last 2 weeks that we were not here. Ton of NFL news. We got contract extensions. We got injury news. We got veteran players getting signed. The Aaron Rodgers situation is figured out potentially. Xavier Howard situation still a huge deal. So we're gonna go through all of that when we hit the news. That's gonna be the whole episode, just news and rounding up what we missed. So Joe, unless you have anything else you want to talk about before we do that. Anything at all? Feel free to say no. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm good, actually.
Okay, fair enough. That felt like an unnecessary length of...
Would you say it's a pregnant pause?
That was a 2 week overdue pregnant pause. That's what that was.
Wow.
Too long.
Oh, never mind.
What was that?
I thought it was Tuesday for some reason. I thought we were going to miss my wife's ultrasound. I forgot that it was Monday. Sorry.
And on that note, let's jump into the news. First up in the news, the Aaron Rodgers situation, which has been talked about at length by every football podcast, every football show, anything football related. The Aaron Rodgers saga in Green Bay this season has been completely exhausting. We haven't actually talked about it that much recently, just because I just felt like there wasn't really enough news, enough advancement to actually have a conversation again about the Aaron Rodgers situation. It was basically, he was unhappy with Green Bay. We knew that for some time. He was unhappy for a myriad of different reasons. The Jordan Love situation, he wasn't a big fan of that. Obviously, he wanted more power. We knew that. And basically, there would just be news every week basically saying, in different words, Aaron Rodgers is unhappy. Aaron Rodgers is unhappy. So, I wasn't going to talk about that every single week of the podcast. I try to mix things up and keep it a little fresh. That being said, we're going to do a big segment on Xavier Howard today, which we already did a lot on 2 weeks ago's episode. But that's got fresh news to it as well. But the Aaron Rodgers situation finally, I think, has enough advancement to really talk about. And that's because it was essentially finally figured out. For those that don't know, who haven't maybe been paying attention to the offseason much, Aaron Rodgers obviously has been unhappy with the Green Bay Packers. And there was a ton of rumors that he would potentially retire, go host Jeopardy. He was a guest host on Jeopardy for a while. There was trade rumors. It came out around the draft that he had requested a trade, that he didn't want to be in Green Bay anymore. Denver was seen as a team that was going to try to trade for Aaron Rodgers. And over the past 2 weeks that we've been gone, it has been a complete roller coaster in the Aaron Rodgers saga in Green Bay. So a couple of weeks ago, Rodgers reportedly declined a 2-year extension that would have made him the highest paid player in the NFL. Would have made him the highest paid player in NFL history. It would have kept him in Green Bay for 5 more years. He declined that extension, according to many different sources. And then, part of the Packers' crazy week that they had a couple weeks ago, contract discussions between them and future free agent, a guy on a contract year, Davante Adams, wide receiver Davante Adams, one of the best receivers in the NFL. Those contract talks broke down. There was the Green Bay Packers eventually, or essentially could not come to terms with Davante Adams on a contract. And then Zadarius Smith, also on a contract year, wants a new contract. One of the best pass rushers there on the Packers offense, or on the defense rather. All of a sudden he tweets that he's looking for a real estate agent in Green Bay now. He tweets something like that. And basically at this point, the Green Bay Packers are that meme with that dog sitting in that room and everything's on fire and they're like, this is fine. You know that meme? That was essentially the Green Bay Packers at that point. It looked like it was completely falling apart in Green Bay. Like Aaron Rodgers was going to retire. Vegas had taken any bets for Aaron Rodgers, for the Green Bay Packers rather, had taken any bets off. Like you could not bet on Packers scenarios like how many wins they have in the season, stuff like that. You couldn't bet on that because Vegas was convinced Aaron Rodgers was going to retire. So it looked like Aaron Rodgers was going to retire. It looked like Davante Adams was gone. He was just going to be a free agent next year. And it looked like Zadarius Smith was not going to be in Green Bay. And things were just falling apart in Green Bay. And then all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams both post a picture of Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. That's probably the only time anybody said Scottie Pippen's name first in saying those two names. But Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, a picture of them together, basically saying The Last Dance. The Last Dance obviously was a docuseries that came out during the pandemic, basically going over how the Bulls had their final season there in 97, was it? I think 97, 98. Basically that, I guess, saying that it was going to be their last ride together with Rodgers and Davante Adams. So that kind of changed the mood surrounding all of this situation. Now it seemed like, okay, maybe Rodgers is planning on coming back. Maybe Davante Adams is planning on coming back. And then seemingly out of nowhere, Rodgers and the Packers come together and they come to a contract, a reworked contract. Basically, this reworked contract voids the 2023 year in Aaron Rodgers' contract. So he does not have that year any longer. It's completely voided. He's just on essentially a 2-year deal in Green Bay, and it essentially gives him the power to decide whether or not he's going to be in Green Bay next year. The contract now makes it easier for Green Bay to trade him, easier for Aaron Rodgers to have a say on where he's going to be in 2022 next year. So it really seems like this is going to be the final year for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. It looks like they will have their last dance season there for the Green Bay Packers. And since that happened, Davante Adams now is back in contract talks. Just it's been a complete roller coaster, a weird situation for the Packers and for everybody involved while we were gone. Just everything happened, and then as soon as all this happened, it also came out that Rodgers had been told he's going to have more say on what goes on within the organization. The Packers then trade for Randall Cobb from the Houston Texans, a player that obviously Aaron Rodgers was a big fan of, and I think this is hilarious. I tweeted when the Packers traded for Randall Cobb, I said I can't wait for Jordy Nelson and James Jones and Greg Jennings to come out of retirement. It's funny to me that Randall Cobb was the gift that they gave Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers now has essentially a say in what goes on in Green Bay. Randall Cobb's back. Randall Cobb hasn't been a successful receiver since he left Green Bay, essentially. So maybe he has a bounce back year with Green Bay. And I would be curious to see if there are other moves happening. If there are other moves that Green Bay makes to please Rodgers, to keep him happy. One move that I thought of when thinking about this was potentially bringing in Larry Fitzgerald. I know that I don't know if Larry Fitzgerald and Aaron Rodgers really even have a relationship, but Fitzgerald hasn't officially said that he's retiring. He's still available. He's still a free agent. I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers says, "Hey, I like Larry Fitzgerald. Let's bring him in." But who knows with that situation. So Aaron Rodgers then gets the rework contract, shows up to Packers training camp on the first official day, I guess, of Packers training camp. He has a press conference, which is really an incredible press conference. I don't know if I've ever seen a press conference like the one that Aaron Rodgers had with the Green Bay media. I would highly recommend going and watching it. So he shows up, he does this press conference. Basically, the keys from the press conference, I watched most of it, was he was basically voicing his frustration with his lack of say in the organization. He felt like players that were no longer a part of the Packers organization, veteran players, when their contracts were up with Green Bay, they were disrespected. They didn't really get contract offers, and they should have. He mentioned guys like Jordy Nelson, guys like James Jones, guys like Micah Hyde. He mentioned a ton of guys that he felt like were disrespected. Randall Cobb, obviously. And he kind of offered up, he wants to be more of a recruiter for incoming free agents, and you know, he's wanted to be more of have more of a say. He said he did consider retirement. He also said this was never about money, so that makes sense as to why he would have rejected that contract that made him the highest paid player in the NFL. This was never about money for Aaron Rodgers. He just wanted more of a say. He considered retirement, but the overwhelming majority of this press conference, to me, the most important takeaway was it was just about him having more say in the organization. He wants to have, you know, a say on who they draft, a say on who they bring in free agency, and he hasn't had that. And I think most quarterbacks don't have that. So getting into my thoughts on this Aaron Rodgers situation, not just recapping, but giving you my thoughts on the whole situation, I think my takeaway from this is obviously the drama here kind of started in the public eye when the Green Bay Packers drafted Jordan Love. That was kind of when we kind of started to take notice of the Aaron Rodgers frustration. And Aaron Rodgers has said time and time again, it's not about Jordan Love, it's not about Jordan Love. But that's kind of when the media took notice, and all of us took notice, fans took notice. But I think things really hit a fever pitch. Things really got out of hand this offseason. And I think the reason that they got so out of hand was quite evident to me. It was quite obvious to me. Aaron Rodgers saw Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay basically doing anything possible to please Aaron Rodgers. That was obvious to me. That seems like that is the driving force of why Aaron Rodgers was frustrated. And we've seen it with other quarterbacks in the NFL. Russell Wilson, we saw he was frustrated that he didn't have say. We saw Deshaun Watson before all this other off-the-field issues happened. Both players, just like Aaron Rodgers, frustrated that they're not having enough say in the organization. And they see Tom Brady going to a brand new team. They cater to him. They bring in Gronk. They bring in Antonio Brown. They bring in Leonard Fournette. Basically, bring in anybody Tom Brady wants, and they win a Super Bowl. And I think Aaron Rodgers was looking at that and saying, why can I not have that? And to me, my biggest response to that is Tom Brady had won 6 Super Bowls before this year. Tom Brady came into Tampa Bay with 6 Super Bowls. He just won his 7th Super Bowl. And as great as Aaron Rodgers is, and I am by no means an Aaron Rodgers hater, and I'm going to get to that, people who think that I'm an Aaron Rodgers hater, that's not the case. I love Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers trying to look at the Tom Brady situation doesn't correlate, in my opinion, because when Tom Brady was in New England, this was never a narrative. Tom Brady never had, say on what went on in New England. You could argue the Antonio Brown situation maybe, but that didn't last, and that was at the very tail end of his tenure in New England. Tom Brady, this was never a narrative in New England. He never had this overarching say of who they sign, who they draft, who they trade for. Tom Brady never had that. Bill Belichick's in charge in New England. And what does Tom Brady do when he didn't have say? He won 6 Super Bowls. So the excuse that, Aaron Rodgers hasn't won more Super Bowls because he hasn't had more say. He hasn't been able to have the team that he wanted. Tom Brady never had say over the team that he wanted. Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls. Aaron Rodgers won 1 Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers has won 1 Super Bowl, and he hasn't been back since 2011. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been back to the Super Bowl since 2011. So no matter how good of a quarterback Aaron Rodgers is, and I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play. Talent-wise, he's probably better than Tom Brady, but he's not the greatest of all time. Tom Brady's the greatest of all time. That's why when Tom Brady goes to a new team, he can do whatever he wants because he's Tom freaking Brady. He's won 6 Super Bowls, and he didn't have to have a team catered to him. He didn't have to have a team that he handpicked. And that's the frustration for me with this Aaron Rodgers situation is the excuses that are being made for Aaron Rodgers. And I love Aaron Rodgers. I want to make that clear. During the offseason, I defended Aaron Rodgers the entire time. I was excited for his revenge tour. I was there for it. I was rooting for him, and I was texting with our good buddy Joel, who's been on this podcast a few times. I was texting with him, and he said it was funny how now I'm the Aaron Rodgers hater, and he loves Aaron Rodgers. And I don't want to be an Aaron Rodgers hater. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers hater. I still think he's an incredible quarterback, but I need accountability for some of these players. And the amount of excuses that are thrown Aaron Rodgers' way because he's Aaron Rodgers, that doesn't. And the same situation happened with Carson Wentz last year. I've always been a Carson Wentz fan. I said before last season I liked Carson Wentz. However, I don't like the excuses that were made for him last year. He sucked last year. He was a terrible, terrible quarterback last year. And yeah, you can make excuses that the team around him wasn't very good, and that's very much the case. But players need to be held accountable, especially at the quarterback position. And Aaron Rodgers has had a phenomenal team around him for years and years. He's part of one of the best run organizations in the NFL. This team is constantly competing every single year. They went from competing with Brett Favre to competing with Aaron Rodgers. They've had just so much success. So don't act, Aaron Rodgers, like you're part of the Jacksonville Jaguars or something, a team that just cannot get their stuff together. This is one of the best rosters in the NFL. And I understand having frustration by not having more say, but Tom Brady never had say, and Tom Brady won continually over and over again. And the fact that Tom Brady has now gone to a place where he had say and he won a Super Bowl, that's not how it's been Tom Brady's whole career. He's just won. So Aaron Rodgers, if you want more say, be Tom Brady. Win more Super Bowls. And then the excuses come out, he hasn't had enough help to win Super Bowls. He hasn't had a good defense to win Super Bowls. Tom Brady doesn't get excuses like that. Tom Brady threw for the most passing yards in Super Bowl history against the Philadelphia Eagles. His defense could not stop Nick Foles, and they lost the Super Bowl, and nobody ever makes those excuses for Tom Brady. But excuses like that are constantly made for Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not an Aaron Rodgers hater, but I just need accountability for Aaron Rodgers. So that, to me, I was so frustrated with this situation already, because at the beginning, I totally agreed with Aaron Rodgers. I thought that the drafting of Jordan Love, to me, is still not smart. It was not a smart decision for Green Bay, and the fact that they're going to lose him after this year, it's tough to defend that. I mean, that's just a bad spot for the Packers. But Rodgers took this so much further than I would have taken it. I mean, it is just it's beyond ridiculous that this situation went on this long, and just the way he talks in some of these interviews, it's so frustrating to me because he is not Tom Brady. Most quarterbacks in the NFL don't have say the way that he wants say in Green Bay. And he's been consistently on one of the best teams in the NFL, and he just hasn't been able to punch it in. He hasn't been able to win a Super Bowl. And the blame that goes everywhere else but Aaron Rodgers is frustrating. Now, all that being said, I'm happy that this is finally done. I'm happy that Aaron Rodgers is going to be in Green Bay, and I think Green Bay is going to be one of the best teams in football this upcoming season. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a potential MVP candidate again. And like I said, I don't hate Aaron Rodgers. I really like Aaron Rodgers as a player. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play, and I will not argue with that statement whatsoever. I think Green Bay will compete for a Super Bowl. I think there's a good chance that they win a Super Bowl. And I think it would be hilarious if they win a Super Bowl and then all this drama is back. Because right now it seems like he's definitely moving on after next season. But if they win a Super Bowl, that will just throw a wrench into absolutely everything. And then who knows? He comes back for another year. Everybody's mad again. But that basically is the Aaron Rodgers situation wrapped up in a nutshell. My thoughts on it. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the Aaron Rodgers situation on Twitter or Instagram or wherever. Or leave us a 5-star rating. Give your opinion there. But that kind of encapsulates all the Aaron Rodgers and Packers drama within the last few weeks. On to the next biggest story that happened while we were gone, and we talked about it at length on the last episode with Jeremy Klump. And like I said, if you have not listened to that episode, I would highly recommend it. A lot of it still very relevant with what's going on, but Xavier Howard. We like I said, we talked about it a few weeks ago. Jeremy Klump came and we had open discussions on our thoughts on. We kind of gave you our thoughts on whether he's going to be traded, where he's going to be traded to, all this stuff. But things escalated quite a bit since that happened. He didn't have a formal trade request at that point. So basically, what's happened in the past few weeks? Training camp's open for all 32 teams. Xavier Howard shows up to Dolphins training camp. In the video that the Dolphins uploaded on their social medias, you can see Xavier Howard there. He did not look happy, and a lot of fans kind of noticed that. He didn't look like a happy camper. But then that night, the night of people reporting to training camp, Xavier Howard uploads a statement to all his social media accounts. And I'm just going to read this statement. It's a little bit of a long statement, but I'll read it. Xavier Howard says, "I've given my heart and soul to the Miami Dolphins franchise since they drafted me in 2016 and want to make it clear that I love my teammates. They are my family, but what I've learned is that the business side of the NFL proves organizations don't always have a player's best interest at heart. My experience with the Dolphins the past few seasons has taught me that. In 2018, I signed an extension that I'll admit I didn't completely understand or feel comfortable with. I'll talk about that later. Back on the quote. I've played on that deal for 2 seasons and didn't complain, but everyone knows I've significantly outperformed that deal. I'm one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, and the tape backs up that claim. The assignments I'm given, shadowing the opposition's best player with little help, proves my value, my worth. Yet, I'm the second highest paid cornerback on my own team, and it's not even close. I want to clear up a few misconceptions about my situation. My agent, David Cantor, and I never once asked for a completely new contract. We wanted things to work out with the Dolphins and brought solutions to the table, like guaranteeing more money that we felt were win-wins for both sides. These were proposals of adjustments that wouldn't just make me feel more respected, but were also cap-friendly. But the Dolphins refused everything we proposed. That is why I don't feel like the organization has dealt with me in good faith. I don't feel valued or respected by the Dolphins. Just like they can take a business-first approach, so can I. That's why I make it clear I am not happy and have requested a trade. Until that trade happens, I am just here so I don't get fined and will handle myself like professionals do. Xavier Howard." That's his statement.
He brought a little bit of Marshawn Lynch in there.
Yeah, a little bit of Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was an incredibly long-winded statement to basically say, I'm not happy, I'm asking for a trade. So Xavier Howard officially asks for a trade. And I have a few qualms with this statement. I think some of this statement I don't agree with. And I want to make it clear that for the most part, I'm for players getting more money. I'm totally fine. I'm not going to tell people how much money they should make. You're worth whatever people will pay you. But that being said, some of the things that Xavier Howard said in this statement, I have some disagreements with. So at one point he says the deal that he made in 2018, he didn't understand or feel comfortable with. That deal made him the highest paid defensive back in the NFL at that point. So the deal that he wasn't comfortable with, the deal that he didn't understand, first of all, you don't have to sign it. If you're uncomfortable with it, you're a grown man. You don't have to sign the deal if you're uncomfortable with it. Second off, that made you the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. And not only did it make you the highest paid cornerback in the NFL, but the Dolphins made you the highest paid quarterback in the NFL after he struggled to stay healthy with constant knee issues. He had knee issues from the beginning of his career up to that point. He had struggled to stay on the field. He had missed games. He had only played one season up to that point, all 16 games. Also, he had a domestic violence arrest around that exact same time that they gave him that contract extension. And he was implicated in a shooting at that point. So to say that the Dolphins never basically did him a solid, they never dealt with him in good faith, is completely bogus. Completely bogus. They made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL when he wasn't. He was not the best quarterback in the NFL. He didn't deserve to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He had never shown that he was the best quarterback in the NFL, but the Dolphins paid him like he was, and he had been dealing with all these offseason issues, hadn't been able to stay healthy. So to say that the Dolphins just disrespected him, they never did him a solid, they never worked with him in good faith, is completely bogus. It's not true. The Dolphins went out on a limb, signed him to a contract that, at the time, I'll admit, I thought was a bad contract. I didn't think that Xavier Howard deserved that contract at that point. Now, since then, he's played incredible. He had 10 interceptions last year, and he's one of the best defensive backs in the NFL. So to say that, he's outplayed that contract, yeah, sure. But you signed the contract. And since all that, since the trade request, he's still been at camp. He's handled himself like a professional, like he said. He practiced for the first couple days, and now he's dealing with an ankle injury. And I don't know how that could be an ankle injury in air quotes. Who knows how much of that is real, how much of that is just him not playing. But Brian Flores has talked to the media on multiple occasions. It sounds like Brian Flores is optimistic that they can figure this out, optimistic that they can come to terms. He constantly says that they're progressing, hasn't said much about whether they're actually working on offering him a new contract, but Brian Flores seems confident to the fact that the Dolphins will work towards getting this figured out. And it's kind of crazy because when this trade request first happened, it was basically code red, high alert, Dolphins Twitter. Everybody's freaking out. I was freaking out. It basically seemed like Xavier Howard's gone 100%. And since then, things have kind of quieted down. Things have calmed down quite a bit, and it's starting to come more in. I think the longer this goes, the more likely it is that Xavier Howard gets this figured out and plays with the Dolphins. So my take on this whole situation is I don't think it's worth trading Xavier Howard. And you can acquire picks, you can acquire all this. I don't think the return that you're going to get for Xavier Howard, to me, is not worth trading him. And we saw rumors of the Dolphins. Apparently, they've listened to offers. There's also a report that they offered the Cardinals Xavier Howard for Chandler Jones, who also requested a trade while we were gone. Chandler Jones, a pass rusher for the Cardinals. They offered Xavier Howard for Chandler Jones and a 5th-round pick, and the Cardinals declined. So to me, that's a bad trade for the Dolphins. I don't want Chandler Jones. I would love Chandler Jones. I think he's a really good pass rusher. But I want more than a 5th-round pick with Chandler Jones if you're getting Xavier Howard. So to me, that's a bad trade. And if that's declined, if you can't even get that, to me, don't trade him because that's not worth it. Xavier Howard is vital to the success of the Miami Dolphins defense. And I think that Brian Flores knows that. I think that Chris Greer, the GM, knows that. I think that Xavier Howard knows that. Cornerbacks are so vital to this Patriot-style defense because they bring these blitzes, they bring these exotic blitzes to the quarterback to get pressure on the quarterback. And the only reason that they can do that is because they have good corners. New England, the only players that they've really ever spent money on, they usually don't spend money other than this offseason on free agents. What was the one player before this offseason that they spent money on? It was Stephon Gilmore. They value the cornerback position because if you have guys that can cover, if you have 2 elite level cornerbacks, with Byron Jones and Xavier Howard have the potential to be, you can be more aggressive sending blitzes at the opposing quarterback. So corners are so important to this Miami Dolphins defense. And without Xavier Howard, this defense is not the same. And then you cut to now training camp. Fans are chanting, "We want Howard." Fans now are allowed to be at training camps again, and they're chanting, "We want Howard. We want Howard." The Dolphins fan base is very clearly on the position of pay Xavier Howard, and that's kind of where I'm at. Despite me criticizing Xavier Howard, despite me saying that some of this is complete nonsense, what he said about his contract being terrible and that the Dolphins never dealt with him in good faith, to me, you still got to pay him. I mean, just bite the bullet if you're the Dolphins. Give him a little bit more incentive. I don't even think the things that he's asking are outrageous. Just give him a little bit more money. Let him win this one. It's so that you can win in the future, because to me this defense is so different without Xavier Howard. And if you pay him, it'll look good in the locker room. Other players will be like, okay, the Dolphins will pay me if I'm one of the best players in the NFL. To me, it's just not worth trading him at this point, because you can acquire assets over and over again, but eventually you got to win games, and Xavier Howard helps to win games in Miami. So if I'm the Dolphins, I pay him. I hope they do pay him not a brand new contract, because I don't think that's even what he's asking for. Just a few more million guaranteed. Just rework some things so that Xavier Howard is there in the long run. And now we're going to do a little thing here for all the rest of the news. There's still a ton that we haven't covered, a ton that we haven't missed. We're going to do a little bit more of a sped up version of the news, because there's so much that happened while we were gone. The two biggest things to me were the Xavier Howard situation and the Aaron Rodgers situation. I think we covered that fairly well. I got a lot of things off my chest. I gave my take on that, and I'm just going to quickly go through all the rest of the things from contract negotiations to contract signings to veteran signings to injuries. A ton of things going on, obviously, now with training camp starting. So first off, why don't we start off with some signings and some trades. So a while back, this happened a couple weeks ago already, Chicago traded wide receiver Anthony Miller to the Houston Texans for a late round pick swap. Anthony Miller is a 27 now, hasn't done a whole lot, didn't really seem to fit in Chicago, and the Houston Texans continue to add players that are fine. You know, they're not amazing, they're fine. Mid-level guys that are just good enough to be starters, but aren't going to be stars. That's what the entire Houston Texans roster is filled with. And then on to another signing. Pittsburgh signs edge rusher Melvin Ingram. This happened a little while ago already, just like the Anthony Miller situation. They signed him to a one-year deal. Ingram had 0 sacks in 2020. He only played in 7 games, struggled with injuries, but he joins a very stacked defense and a very stacked defensive line. He'll play alongside TJ Watt, and I think if there's any place where he's going to have a career resurgence, it's going to be here in Pittsburgh, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him have 7, 8 sacks this year, coming off that injury, playing alongside that really stacked defense. And then Baltimore also signs a 32-year-old pass rusher, Justin Houston, to a 1-year, $4 million contract. Justin Houston had 8 sacks in 2020, quietly had 8 sacks for the Indianapolis Colts. This feels almost like a response to the Pittsburgh Steelers signing Melvin Ingram. It feels like, okay, we'll get our own 32-year-old pass rusher that we can probably turn into something good. And this also feels like a situation where I would not be surprised if Justin Houston racks up 8 sacks like he did last year. Justin Houston, I still think very capable pass rusher, and if there's any place he's going to succeed, why not Baltimore? And then the Philadelphia Eagles sign cornerback Steven Nelson to a 1-year, $4 million contract. Kind of shocked that it's such a small contract. There was so much talk about Steven Nelson that I thought that he would get a bigger deal than a 1-year, $4 million contract. He's a good, not great player. I'm not going to act like he's, prime Richard Sherman, but he's a guy who's going to go in there, play alongside Darius Slay, and that's a nice little duo for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then New Orleans signs running back Devontae Freeman, 31 years old, to a 1-year deal. And Devontae Freeman hasn't done a whole lot since leaving the Atlanta Falcons a few years back. Does this maybe signing make Kamara more of a receiver? And a big reason why I think that might be the case is because, going over to the injury news that happened, Michael Thomas will be out 6 to 8 weeks after getting surgery to repair an ankle injury. Sean Payton seemed extremely frustrated that Michael Thomas did not get this surgery earlier. That relationship, Sean Payton and Michael Thomas, that's something that I could see just coming to a very quick divorce out of nowhere all of a sudden. They do not like each other, and we've seen it time and time again. Michael Thomas has been kind of a bonehead to Sean Payton and to the New Orleans Saints. But Michael Thomas will be out for the start of the 2021 NFL season. So I think Alvin Kamara is going to have to step up big time as a receiver there in New Orleans, because the receiver depth for the New Orleans Saints is terrible. It's really bad. They have Traquan Smith, Deontay Harris, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and Chris Hogan. This guy's name is literally Lil Jordan. Lil Jordan. Like Lil Wayne, but Lil Jordan Humphrey. That's literally this guy's name, and he's 6'4". So that's good for him. That's hilarious. And then moving on to more injury news, Cam Akers, the projected starting running back for the Los Angeles Rams. He was a guy I was really excited for. He was going to be a fantasy beast in my opinion, but he'll have to wait a year as he tears his Achilles in training camp. He's out for the entire season. This is a brutal loss for the Los Angeles Rams. Like I said, I really like Cam Akers. I thought he was going to be, a top 10, top 5 maybe running back in the NFL this upcoming season. Darrell Henderson will now most likely be the starter there for the Los Angeles Rams. They don't have a ton of depth at the running back position, so they're going to need Darrell Henderson, who's had 771 yards, 5 touchdowns in his 2 seasons in the NFL. He's not already playing any of the preseason. They've confirmed that, so he will very likely be the lead back there in Los Angeles. And then Devontae Smith, the rookie wide receiver out of Philadelphia, he's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks with an MCL sprain. This sucks. I really like Devontae Smith. I talked about him a lot in the pre-draft podcasts. I think he's a really good receiver. I hate seeing knee injuries, especially if it's just a sprain. It's only a 2 to 3 week thing. But MCL strain, like how many times have we seen a knee strain turn into something so much more than just a knee strain? And you don't get surgery or you don't get proper healing time on that knee, and then it turns into a tear. So I hope that does not happen for Devontae Smith, but that sucks that he'll be out for a few weeks. Hopefully he'll be ready to go at the start of the NFL season. And somebody that will not be ready to go for the start of the NFL season is Carson Wentz, the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. He sustained a foot injury in the early days of training camp there for the Colts. And now, originally, it seemed like he did not want to have surgery on it, but he apparently changed his mind, got surgery, and he's out anywhere from 5 to 12 weeks with, what a range, 5 to 12. That's quite a difference. But he will most definitely miss the start of the NFL season. Jacob Eason right now is the projected starter. He has never played an NFL game before, so not a good situation. And I'm really disappointed. I wanted to see Carson Wentz there in Indianapolis. I wanted to see if last year was just an aberration, if last year was, or if that's just who he is now. I was really excited to see him in Indianapolis, and I could see this now. I think this maybe makes Carson Wentz more likely to be there next year for Indianapolis. I think if he was there and didn't play well, there's a good chance that he doesn't come back. But now, if he comes in late in the season, doesn't play well, they can say, oh, well, he was injured, and then we'll give him another shot. So I think this almost guarantees to me that Carson Wentz is back next season. And also, it hurts the Eagles because now that second round pick that the Indianapolis Colts sent to the Philadelphia Eagles, that for Carson Wentz, if Carson Wentz played 70% of the snaps, was going to become a first round pick. That likely won't happen if he misses 12 weeks now. So a tough break for the Eagles, tough break for the Colts. There is rumors now that the Colts might potentially trade for Nick Foles from the Chicago Bears, which is hilarious. I was talking to my good buddy Joel over text about this too, and he said like he laughed out loud when I told him that, because that is insanely funny. Carson Wentz cannot get away from Nick Foles. This guy will follow him until the day that he retires from the NFL. I think it would be so funny if Nick Foles was traded to Indianapolis and then he plays really well and then he takes them to the playoffs, like what happened with that Super Bowl run with the Eagles. It's just funny that Carson Wentz cannot escape Nick Foles. And then on to the final bit of things we missed, a bunch of contract extensions. The Bengals sign defensive end Sam Hubbard to a 4-year, $40 million contract extension. Another good, not great player, but it's hard to find consistent pass rushing, so can't have any problems with that. Washington signed a couple contract extensions. Tight end Logan Thomas, who converted to quarterback, had a very successful season. He converted from quarterback to tight end, rather. He had a very successful season last year, 72 receptions, 670 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He gets a 3-year, $24 million extension. And they also signed Jonathan Allen to a 4-year, $72 million extension. He's a part of that completely stacked young defensive line there in Washington. Speaking of defenders getting big-time paydays, Fred Warner signs a 5-year deal worth $95 million with the San Francisco 49ers. He was Pro Football Focus's #1 graded linebacker last year. One of the best young linebackers in the NFL. Very much deserved it. I think it won't be long before he's a Bobby Wagner type player in the NFL. Really like Fred Warner. And then the Colts sign right tackle Braden Smith to a 4-year, $72 million extension. He's a solid, above average tackle. And like we always say, if you have an above average to average level offensive lineman, you got to lock them up because they're so hard to find. And so many teams struggle with offensive lines. And we've seen now Carson Wentz injury issues, and he does not play well in front of a bad offensive line. So getting Braden Smith to stay there, even though Carson Wentz won't be there at the beginning of the season, I think will pay off in the long run. And then finally, Nick Chubb getting a 3-year, $36.6 million extension with $20 million guaranteed. Love this extension. Nick Chubb, one of the best. I think he's a top 5, easily top 5, probably top 3 running back in the NFL. That duo of him and Kareem Hunt is lethal in Cleveland. I love the Browns going into the season. I love that they locked up a guy like Nick Chubb, and I'm excited to see if he can expand on what was a really, really good season last year for the Browns. But that wraps everything up. That's going over everything that we missed while we were gone. Yeah, that was a lot. I hope you guys stuck around for all of that. I had fun. Real quick, before we close out the podcast, I wrote another article. I'm back on the writing game, so go over to bluecollarmediagroup.com. I am going through every division in the NFL, previewing and giving predictions about how they'll finish the season. I talk about the biggest loss they had this offseason, biggest loss in free agency, the biggest addition, and then I kind of just go over a general preview of where I think each team will finish. So go over, and I started with the NFC East, the worst division in football last season. Can they get better? Find out in my article. Go read my article. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoy the podcast, listen, the NFL season's literally right around the corner. We're gonna have so much to talk about soon. So many exciting things coming. Make sure you guys give us a 5-star rating. Make sure you subscribe. It makes your life so much easier. If you like the podcast, if you just subscribe, it makes your life so much easier. It just downloads every episode. No work. You don't have to put any work in whatsoever.
No strings attached.
No strings attached. Absolutely. You don't have to pay for it. It's literally free. So what are you even doing not subscribing to the podcast? Please give us a 5-star rating. Give us a 5-star review. We need those 5-star reviews. And if you love the podcast, if you love football, share it with a friend, man. What are you doing? Even if they don't like football, we just talked like 20 minutes at the top of the show about Bigfoot and everything that entails. So there's stuff for everybody in this podcast. So please share that. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram. I'm very active on Twitter. Not so much on Instagram as much as I used to be, but follow me on Twitter. I'm tweeting mostly Dolphin stuff, but NFL stuff and non-football stuff as well at _Average Joe Show. And Joe, I don't know if you have anything you want to say before we close out the show. Any words of wisdom?
Big news.
Big news.
Sorry, words of wisdom. What?
No. What's the big news?
I actually want to know what you were gonna say, but the words.
Well, I
of
was just
wisdom.
gonna ask if you have any words of wisdom for the listeners.
Lower your bar.
Lower your bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lower your bar.
Like expectations?
Yeah, you may be upset with yourself right now. Oh man, I'm not working out. I'm not eating right. I'm gaining so much weight, and I'm looking gross. Got my dad bod on, my sympathy weight. All these things that a lot of people think.
Yeah.
All these insecurities. You're like, I can't stick to a good workout schedule or a good diet or whatever. Lower your bar.
You're doing fine.
Work out. You're saying like, oh, I want to work out every other day. No, start with twice a week. Start with twice a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Start with like with your meals, eating one salad.
Yeah.
Every other day.
Don't go in like guns a-blazing.
Don't go in thinking you're going to work out every other day for an hour.
This is fun. I was actually talking to my wife about that today. She was like, we had a day off. It's a holiday here in Canada on this Monday. And she was basically saying, oh, there's so many things I want to do today, like get done, accomplish. And I just told her, hey, you're probably not going to do all of them. So just don't expect it. Just go in with low expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how we want you to come into this podcast.
Yeah. Lower your bar. Come on.
This isn't the Joe Rogan podcast, okay?
But it could be.
It could be. We are making just about as much money as Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
We're right there. It's really us and him, but it's kind of a rivalry at this point.
Yeah, he actually contacted me. He said to kind of tone it down a bit
He
because he was like, what's going on?
He gave us a cease and desist. Desist?
Yeah, and a restraining order.
And a restraining order. We're actually not allowed to talk about him anymore. This is the last episode we're allowed to say his name. So,
but yeah, lower your bar anyways.
Okay. Was there actually
That's what I've been
Was
doing.
there actually big news, or were you just...
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Joe, I hope you enjoyed. It was fun to be back.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad we're
Honestly,
back.
It's fun to be back. And we'll be back in your lives next week and the week after that, Lord willing. I hope you guys enjoyed. And we will catch you guys on the next one.